it consumed me and it robbed me of my peace because I was, when people talking about waiting for marriage and waiting for, praying for a spouse and waiting for marriage, I completely get that and I stand behind that. I'm doing that. I'm waiting with you, right? But I am not waiting at the door, at the window, peeking. I'm not doing that. Hey friends, welcome back to From Pieces to Purpose. I am your host, Justice. This is an impromptu episode. I would usually go into my whole shebang. Wait, let me still give y'all the shebang. Hold on. And this is our safe space where we are healing from heartbreak, reclaiming our whole lives back, and living a life on purpose, for a purpose. Yes, today's impromptu episode, meaning I have no notes, so I apologize in advance for wherever we find ourselves tonight. Okay, so boom. This episode was inspired by social media. I was on social media and I've been seeing a lot of this, but I'm seeing it more and more and more often now. People are celebrating this idea of getting married fast. I know you all have probably heard it and seen it around, just like people getting married in 3 months and 5 months and 6 months. When I first saw it, I'm like, okay. But then I kept seeing it. And then I saw today that somebody who got married rather quickly is now getting a divorce. And I said to myself, there are a lot of probably successful marriages where they've gotten married quickly. I use air quotes because I'm not a person that believes there's a specific magic number of time that you need to be with somebody before you marry them. However, I think we're all missing the part where, what are you doing with that time? Are you being intentional with that time? Like you could be talking to somebody for 2+ years, but if those 2+ years were just you two existing together and not intentionally getting to know each other and getting curious about each other and really doing life together and growing together, if it's none of that, then those 2 years are just years of you with somebody, just coexisting with somebody. So I think we need to pay more attention to what are we doing in that time while we're getting to know each other before we get married. I think we're doing a disservice to the younger generation because people are already idolizing marriage. This is coming from somebody who absolutely idolized marriage while I was married and shortly after I was divorced. I was still idolizing this idea of being married and being partnered with somebody for life. And, I claim to be a lover's girl, and I am, but there's this idea of marriage that is being put on this golden pedestal. I put marriage on this golden pedestal, and I watch God tear that thing down. If you put so much stock and equity in the idea and the institution of marriage, then you will lose yourself. You'll lose yourself, as well as you'll forget God's intention for marriage in the first place. It isn't just for you to say, I'm married and my husband. It's not for that. The actual intent of marriage is much deeper than just standing alongside of somebody at the altar. Like, that's for a whole nother episode. We could talk about like God's intent for marriage, because that's not, I say all that to say, I think we're doing a disservice to our younger generation because they're seeing us put marriage on this pedestal and they're seeing us get married fast. In a way, it's being glorified. And that's scary because outside looking in, we don't know what they did with that 5 months or that 4 months. They could have been very intentional. And there are people that are very intentional. I claim to be one of those people who are very intentional, where it wouldn't take me years to know if I want to marry somebody, because I've also done the work to know what I want, what I'm looking for, what will serve me as a person, what I need in a relationship, what I need in marriage. I know what my purpose is. I know what will help me grow. I know a lot about myself and about my life now, to the point where it wouldn't take me years to discern if somebody is the right partner. However, if you haven't done the work, I encourage you to do the work. I encourage you to take a step back and really think about your intent when it comes to marriage. And I caution you to not put so much stock and equity in other people's marriages and relationships. And just because you see this particular couple got married in 6 months doesn't necessarily mean that you will, or that means that 6 months is this magical number now, that means if you and your boyfriend are together for 6 months and he hasn't proposed to you, that now you're grieved. Let's be intentional with our time. You know what's so crazy? You know what's so crazy now that I think about it? Social media isn't what it was when I was in, let's say, ninth grade, eighth grade. So 2008, 2009, social media wasn't really what it is now. But also marriage and how it's like this, like, it's, I mean, hot commodity. Like, it is popular to be married. Like, if you're married, it's like a status thing now. And that was not the case when I was, growing up and in high, younger. So it's interesting now that the younger girls are now being exposed to all of these marriages. And now with social media being what it is, we're getting behind the curtains of these marriages, like how they do their life together in their house. And so we now have something to compare what we experienced to. Whereas before, at least even before me, our parents and parents, where there wasn't social media, they weren't exposed to everybody's households to compare their marriages to someone else's or their relationship to someone else's, or to say, oh, they got married in 6 months and I've been with my man for 2 years and we haven't even talked about marriage. There was none of that. It's interesting now that we have this added component of social media and this peak inside of people's lives. And listen, this is not coming from somebody who, I was wrapped in it. I was in there. And for me, it was more so like it was a compound of my upbringing and me watching romance movies and romance songs. I remember in fourth grade. Oh, this is funny. I remember in fourth grade, I had this little boyfriend in fourth grade. That's so crazy. And my son is in second grade. So I'm just like, oof. I had this little boyfriend in fourth grade. And I remember, or he wasn't my boyfriend at the time, and I liked him, and I knew he liked me because he told me he told my friend he liked me. And 3LW has this song called More Than Friends. If you don't know that song, please listen to it. It's a great song. I love that song. I love 3LW growing up too. Anyway, so they have this song called More Than Friends. And so before school in the morning, I would listen to that song, and I remember I am a cornball. I remember writing the lyrics to the song in a notebook as I'm singing it and writing it. And I was just kind of like in my zone. And I really wanted him to be my boy. I mean, he ended up being my boyfriend. But it's just funny that I romanticized this little boy and me being together. To bring it full circle for y'all, that's what y'all doing right now. Y'all are romanticizing marriage and the idea of marriages because you're seeing all of this marriage. It's easy to look and be like, I want that. And listen, hold on. Let me say this. I desire to be married. Okay, listen, let's clear that up. I absolutely desire to be married again and to have a husband, okay? Sis wants to be married again. I found that when I was so focused on it and I paid attention to it, I was just hyper focused on it. It consumed me and it robbed me of my peace because I was, when people talking about waiting for marriage and waiting for, praying for a spouse and waiting for marriage, I completely get that and I stand behind that. I'm doing that. I'm waiting with you, right? But I am not waiting at the door, at the window, peeking. I'm not doing that. I was, okay? No judgment and no shade. I absolutely was. Then I realized, I'll give you a few things that I realized. One, I don't want my husband to find me peeking and looking for him. The thought of that, when God opened my eyes, the thought of my husband, just visualize your husband walking by and you peeking out the window, like lurking. And I didn't like that. I didn't like how that felt. The desire is still in my heart. I'm clear about what I want. And that's the biggest difference between justice now and justice years ago. I'm very clear on what I want, and not just what I want, what I need. And that is a good place to start if you're like, I do desire to be married and I don't know where to start though, because I'm seeing all these marriages and I just don't know and whatever. That's a good place to start. Figure out what you want. Figure out the type of husband and the type of marriage you want. And figure out what you need. Because here's the thing about my God. He will send you what you need because he loves you that much. You want to be able to discern when it shows up and when it's not. Do y'all hear me? You want to know when he shows up and when it's not him. And that's part of the work. And so if you're waiting at the door for the man, you're not doing the work so that when he shows up and he runs into you while you're doing the work, you're showing up for yourself, you're loving yourself, you're walking in purpose, right? You're living your life. When he shows up, it won't be as if you were looking for him. He found you, he who finds a wife, and he found you focused on you, taking care of you, loving on you, being confident, being bold, being clear of what she wants and what she doesn't want, and how she wants to show up, and the man she wants, and the marriage all of that. You want him to find you well. And God wants you to wait well. And part of waiting well is not being at the door waiting for a marriage because you feel how you feel. After my divorce, I went through a complete identity crisis. I didn't know who I was, what I wanted, or even what to do with myself. I was angry, I was broken, and I really just wanted to give up. It's being vulnerable and doing this and being honest with yourself and saying, this may take a long time because I was invested with everything into this marriage. So this is gonna be hard. I kept hearing the encouragement of others to focus on yourself, love yourself, heal. And I had no idea what that looked like for me. All I did know was that I wanted more for myself. And I knew that God wanted more for me and my son as well. I began intentionally healing. I pursued my healing. And what I didn't know at the time was my self-love journey. It was through that work in healing that I discovered God, my worth, and my identity. And I learned what real love was. And I want the same for you, friend. So I'm developing a course for women who want to reinvent their life, to show up authentically and confidently in the world. I want to help you improve your relationship with God, yourself, and other people. The course will also help you attract healthy relationships into your life that serve and support the person that you are. So if you need help and community support, this is your official invitation to join me and 50 others on October 30th for 8 weeks of group coaching. In this 8-week program, you will learn to strengthen your self-confidence and show up authentically. You will learn what real love is and how to receive it and share it with others. You will be equipped with the tools to release fear and mental blocks that could be keeping you stuck. You will also walk away with a holistic routine that will help you nurture your entire self. So if you're interested, you can apply by clicking the link in the description box. And remember, there are only 50 spaces available, so you want to make sure you secure your spot today. Again, social media doesn't help when you see all these marriages and things, but I caution you to really step away from what you see on social media and understand that you don't have the full context of what you see. So pull yourself out of it, and rather than just seeing it for what it is, like seeing it for what it is as a picture or a video or whatever, understand that you don't have the full story and or picture of that thing, and that God has something very unique and specific for you. To not compare yourself to anybody else, your journey to their journey, your man to their man. Oh my God, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't just not do it out loud. Don't do that in your heart. That was a mistake that I made in my marriage. I compared my ex to, other people. Not other people that I was with, but just other people, and not out loud to him. In my heart, I did, like, dang, I see such and such doing this and this. And that's why I said, understand what you need. This is another thing I wanted to touch on that it's kind of similar to the marriage thing. I've seen it more so on TikTok than anything. I've seen folks idolize relationships, period. Like, relationship goals, like people have been doing that for a while, but I'm really seeing people be like, no, I want to be like her and him. I'm not going to name drop, but like, y'all know the folks, there's couples out there that are being coveted. Let me look up that definition for y'all, because I don't want to throw out this fancy word and not give you no context. Covet means yearn to possess or have something. So y'all are coveting, y'all are yearning to have this particular relationship because of what it looks like on the outside. Again, I'm just seeing more and more younger girls do that. Early 20s, 21, 22, 23. And it looks like it's trendy to do that. If there are any young girls watching this video right now, what I would say to you is to focus on yourself, to really focus on yourself and get the answers to what you want and what you need. And then also ask yourself, do I know what my purpose is? Do I know why God created me? Because here's the thing. There are some prerequisites before meeting the person that I believe women and men should go through before coming together. And when I say prerequisites, like things you should know about yourself before linking your life with somebody. Before you covet a relationship and yearn for what somebody else has because it looks like there's two beautiful people coming together. Because all that really is like people put relationship goals when two good-looking people come together and get in a relationship together. That's all that really is. It has nothing to do with the relationship itself. If these two people are cute and they could take good pictures, they're relationship goals. And you see where we have no standard. We need to set the line. Set the line. Because that couple can end up broken up in a few months. And then it's like, dang. And then folks miss the part where their words is actually creating their life. I'm not gonna go too deep on that. I'm not even gonna go too deep on that. But be careful what you say out your mouth because your words are creating the life around you. And if you're coveting these relationships and you're saying these people are relationship goals and I want what they have and I want to be the next her and I want to be him, be careful. Be careful with that. You don't know. You don't know these people's stories. You don't know what they went through to get to where they are. You don't know what's happening behind the scenes, behind closed doors. You don't know. And again, I said this earlier, there is a unique and specific experience that God has already predestined for you. There's a path, there's a race, there's a lane with your name on it, but you're looking to the left and to the right. Speaking of race, all right, I'm gonna leave y'all with this scripture. Hebrews 12:1. Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, that's people that in our lives that are living around us, let us also lay aside every weight and sin. That's for some private study. Lay aside every weight and sin which clings so closely, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us. So in my mind, that lane has my name on it, and I'm called to that race. But I'm also called to lay aside every weight. Because think about it, if you're running a race and you're trying to win, and you got something on your back, you're gonna want to take that thing off so you can win your race. Let me tell you some of those weights that's weighing you down in your race when it comes to this marriage relationship thing. Comparison is a weight. It's holding you back. Jealousy, bitterness is a weight. Resentment is a weight. Unforgiveness is a weight. All of those are weights, and I encourage you to lay aside every weight. We could probably actually do another episode about some things that hold us back. But that's all. That's all today. I like these impromptu episodes. What y'all think about that? Y'all like these impromptu episodes? If you like it, like the video. We're closing, okay? Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Also, if you are new here and this is your first video and you made it this far in the video, please subscribe because I make videos every single Tuesday and I want to see you again. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next week. Peace.